Right, we are live. Guys, can you hear us?
Hello.
Anyone there? Anyone
Testing 1 2 1 2.
Right, whilst we're waiting for people to get here, I'm just going to share this link on Twitter. Just 1 second. Should have done this earlier. Not going to be fancy. I'm just putting live on YouTube. Well, hold on. I need the link on YouTube, don't I? Not right, the link on. Oh, I can't be bothered. I won't be bothered with that. Too bad. I've got to get YouTube up and stuff, but not to worry. Okay, so we are live with Grumpy Vegan Grandad. This is Grumpy Vegan Grandad, everyone. So whilst people are coming in, do you want to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself for anybody who doesn't know you?
Yeah, sure. My real name is Dan. I've been vegan for 5 years. I'm a vegan activist. I did appear in a documentary called Veganville, which aired on the 1st of January, I think. And that's still available on the BBC Three iPlayer, a little plug there. And I've been very active these last 2 years with my vegan outreach, my vegan activism, because I've had quite a roller coaster of a journey. I started off plant-based. I bought a juicer, and it was totally health reasons. But that long and winding road eventually leads you to animal welfare, and shock is not the word. When I started researching into what actually happens in intensive farming, in slaughterhouses, and now I feel like I must defend the animals. It's just something I have to do. I can't see this. I mean, all through growing up through life, I've always been, let us say, I'm the person who jumps in when I see something wrong. I can't keep this shut. This is why I've never been able to keep a job for more than 2 years. When people say to you, don't mention that because they'll just go mad, I've got to mention it. I can't see injustice. I can't see things wrong, and I can't see people or anybody, anything, any animal being mistreated and not say anything. I can't do that. So this has always been a part of my psyche, my makeup of who I am. So that's basically who I am. I'm also a struggling actor. I'm trying to get into the acting industry. I'm doing quite well at that until lockdown stopped me dead. And I'm also a truck driver, which I do at weekends, which enables me to do other things during the week. So yeah, I'm in a pretty good position, but basically that's me, Dan.
Great. So Veganville, I think we started communicating around the time when Veganville was either about to go. It's a BBC program, wasn't it?
It was a BBC, yeah.
Yeah, out on the BBC. And I remember you texting me on Instagram saying, you've got to watch Veganville, you've got to watch Veganville. And I'm going to admit to everybody watching that I still have not watched Veganville. I'm so sorry. But I will. I have absolutely no excuse, have I, whilst we're on lockdown. I've got so much time on my hands. So your vegan journey started 2 years ago, originally health-based. No?
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Yeah.
And okay. So you've been vegan or plant-based for 5 years.
I've been vegan 5 years, and 2 years previous to
that. Yeah. Right.
It's all there in Instagram. My full life, my full journey is there in Instagram. I started posting my juices, and then it was me vegetarian, then pescatarian, then finally vegan. But if I'd have seen now I would have changed then. It was only this journey took me towards that sort of conclusion. So it really was. I would not have thought twice about turning vegan if I'd had the information or bothered to look, which is what a lot of people don't care to do.
I think that's it, and I think that's all down to society. That, you know, we are absolutely programmed into a cultural way of eating, and it's just normalized. And either people just don't know, or they just don't want to know what is actually going on. So it's so very important when we have situations like you were in recently, that we publicize those situations. And that's why I invited you on to do a live stream with me. Just for the audience and a little bit of background, a few days ago, you sent me a link to a video that you put on your channel. And it was, you can tell us the story in a moment, but this is kind of how I came into this issue. So you sent me this link to a video, and I thought, oh my God, right? So I asked you whether I could copy it, put it on my channel. So it appeared on my channel a few days ago. So you can go and see the video itself, either on Dan's channel or my channel. I think mine went live at the weekend anyway. So you were there on public land, and you were confronted and harassed by a number, 5, 6 maybe, people working at a slaughterhouse. So do you want to tell the story in your own words and kind of take us from the beginning?
I'll take you from the beginning. I mean, basically, I've been doing a lot of running lately, and I found out I'm a really good runner. I didn't realize I was just doing it to pass time, but I've done it. And I got told by a friend, you should really not do it every day. You should go for a walk, go for a long walk, as opposed to running, because of, damage you could do. So I decided to go for a long walk. Beautiful day, walking along, getting a bit bored. So I went on Instagram Live and started talking to people. So I'm toddling along, changing the camera over, saying, look at these beautiful fields, because I live in a nice area. I live on the foot of the moors. Walking down into town, and then to get back to my house, I walk across this country path, which passes this little slaughterhouse. Very obscure. Nobody knows it's there. It just gets on with life, and that's it. So once I got to the back of it, which you can't see a lot, you can't see anybody working, you can't see anybody mooching about. It's pretty much just a blank wall. Now, all I was doing was saying, now look at this beautiful countryside, and look at what's going on in the middle of this beauty. These animals, this nature, this beauty is being pushed into this one little sort of building, and pure murder is happening in there. Pure animal abuse is happening in this little sort of scenario. And that's all I was doing. And then when I looked, I noticed some sheepskins piled up in hoppers ready to be sold, obviously, because that's what they do. They want to get as much profit off these as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm stood there with the camera, and I'm still streaming live. I'm stood there with the camera, I'm trying to zoom in, and I see this little face pop up behind the fence. And then this bloke about my age, middle-aged, comes stomping over, and he comes up to me, and I wasn't rude, and he says to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm just doing a little bit of a story. I'm just filming, like, your factory and how beautiful it is. And he said, well, you can't film here, it's illegal. And I'm like, whoa. Now, bear in mind, I used to be a street photographer and an urbexer. For those of you who don't know, it's an urban explorer. We get into old buildings, old mills, and take photographs. And I'm very aware of the law, because you've got to be.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, people, even though there's CCTV everywhere you go, people are still sort of a bit worried about people with cameras for some reason. I don't know why. So I know the law. So I said to him, well, it's not illegal, and I'm going to carry on filming, then I'm going to sod off. What's your problem? So he walks off, and he goes back into the factory, and then there's a few more heads pop up then. So obviously he's gone and told his mates. Then next thing I know, a man walks out with a hose pipe, starts spraying water in the air, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's where your video started. That on YouTube was this hose pipe.
Yeah. Now, what's going through my mind at this point is that for me, or is this something they do? I was a little bit confused at that moment in time as to what it was for. But I could see him pulling this hose pipe and then walking directly towards me. So I start laughing at him, like, what are you doing? You know, it's like a bit of shock. So then when he realizes he's not going to get me because the wind's blowing like literally 90 degrees the opposite direction, he walks back in. I thought, well, that's the end of it. And what I did then was I changed it to, halfway through that, sorry, I changed it to video camera, not live streaming, because I found I couldn't zoom in.
Right.
I wanted to zoom in.
I
so that's
see.
why I changed. That's why that I come off live stream. That's why I went to video camera.
Right.
I was also sure that I might lose this. So starts filming him. Now I didn't film it that way because I was moving. I wanted the camera securely in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was coming towards me. I didn't know what was happening, where he was going with this. All right, son, see you in a bit. Just miss it, I'm going. So he takes it back in, and then he starts walking. You can see on the video, he starts walking to the edge of the field. Then he climbs the fence. So now the whole thing changes. And in my mind, I'm thinking, right, what's this guy going to do? Now, I wasn't expecting anything else apart from him to go over and ask me what I was doing, bog off or whatever. But I was on edge straight away. Yeah, yeah. So at this point, I'd just like to tell the people out there what I told you earlier about the wide angle lens. Now, the lenses on camera phones, they are 12mm, they're wide angle. So that when something is really close, it looks further away than it really is. So this bloke climbs the fence and he comes towards me. He immediately tries to grab my phone. So I move my phone away. Then he barges into me and starts pushing me. So the phone goes down by my side and then I bring it back up again. And then I'm like this. So that's when he starts telling me to move away, move away. So I shout at him. I shout a warning to him. I said, try grabbing my phone again and I will knock you out. I'm just telling this guy, right, that I'm not scared. If he carries on doing what he's doing, I'm going to defend myself. I think we're going to get to a little later. Yeah. But this is something you've got to do. You've got to tell people that you're under duress and that you're making them react. I thought he was going to attack me at this point. Then another two come over. And I'm still sort of, should I move or should I not? But there's two things going on in my head at this moment in time is I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not breaking the law. They're murdering animals in there. And it was like a 2-4 thing. I thought, no, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm not going to do this. So then it escalated, more come. They start shouting obscenities at me.
They just seem to just come from, they just seem to like reproduce somehow. Like robots just like appeared.
I don't know whether they're coming from underneath the sheepskins and wolves dressed as lambs. I don't know what was happening, but they seem to just pop up like some of these old movies where the skeletons pop up, and it's just like, where are they all coming from? Yeah. And I must admit, I was starting, the adrenaline was flowing.
Yeah.
Now, when adrenaline's flowing, you're in a flight or fight mode, and I decided to do fight mode, which doesn't mean I was going to start flowing fists about. It meant that I was going to stand my ground, and unfortunately, expletives come out. I'm going to swear. It's my way of venting my anger without using fists, and that's all I could do because I wasn't in a position to start anything with them. And at the end, you might hear me call someone a short-ass little MF. Now, what you don't hear on that is this guy actually said to him, why don't we just knock him out and take his phone off him?
Really?
So this is what I mean. There's a lot of people trolling me saying, but what they only hear one side of the conversation. They don't hear what these people are saying to me. And
it was very windy as well, wasn't it? You could hear the wind. So I know when I film on my phone, you get a very clear, kind of very close up. You hear the voice like that. You hear that very clearly. But everything else around, it's difficult to pick up because it's being distorted. It's being distorted by the wind. So no, that's not picked up. So looking at the video comments that I've had to that video, there's been a handful that have been negative, but I think the vast majority have been supporting you. Really. But it's just really good to hear your side of the story, because not everything can be picked up, and these guys really need calling out. Simple as that. So sorry, go on.
I mean, well, yeah. And anyway, it only came to an end when this little guy walked past me and kicked me in the shin. Now, he didn't kick me hard, but that was a sign. And that's like, you know, how can I describe it? Like birds coming over pecking.
Yeah.
Just like waiting for a reaction, pecking at a cat. Any moment now that cat's going to go.
Yeah, because they want you to make the first blow, and then they can then say that you attack them.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. That's what they wanted. Because they sent the biggest guy over, right? They sent the biggest guy over first. He'll get rid of him. But when they realised that the biggest guy didn't faze me one little bit, and when I looked at this guy in the eye, he was physically shaking.
Was he? Good.
He was physically shaking because I looked him in the eye and he couldn't look me, and his head was down, and he was, "What are you talking about?" And, you know, it was like that. And then as soon as I shouted and like asserted myself, that's when they all come running over one by one. But when this guy kicked me, I thought, right, if my temper takes over now, I am going to hit out, even though I'm in the right to hit out through preemptive strike laws.
Yeah.
Because I did feel like I was going to be attacked.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I think that anybody in that situation, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're on your own and you're confronted by several big guys, you are going to feel intimidated. And it doesn't matter how well you can fight. Like I'm an ex-martial artist. I haven't trained for a long, long time. I've been in some hair-raising situations, and I'm like you. Once the adrenaline starts going, I choose to fight, and I'll take on. I had a street fight once. I'm not going to tell the story because it's a bit embarrassing, right? And I don't want to give the trolls any more ammo than they already have.
Oh, right. We need to have a private conversation.
Yeah, but anyway, some guy knocked me off my bike and I got up and anyway, right, not even going to go there. But yeah, that fight mode it's almost like instinctive, you know. Yeah. But it's utterly instinctive because you are intimidated. And I think what was so good, and perhaps I wouldn't have been so good, is that you kept your cool. And you warn them. Like in martial arts, we were always kind of told never strike the first blow, and jiu-jitsu is all defense, and it's, you know, respect and defense. Absolutely, it's drummed in you, because some of these things that you're learning, it doesn't matter if you're tiny little, you know, 8-stone weakling. You know, these are harsh techniques that you can ultimately do a lot of damage with.
Definitely.
But you were so calm in that you were saying, get away, get away, get away. And you were warning them. And all they kept doing was more of them kept reproducing. So instead of just having an altercation where one guy or even two guys come over, tell you to sod off, and then they go in and carry on with their murdering, right? But no, they were the ones who escalated the situation. And you're absolutely right that once someone strikes you, even though it's only a tiny strike, they're expecting you to retaliate with a harsher strike, and then they can all start crying and, you know, we're phoning the police, you know. But you kept your cool, and I think that is, under extreme duress like that, I think it's very difficult to do, because that adrenaline it's an acute stress response, and it's there to save your life. It's a survival mechanism. So to override that a little bit by staying calm is good, really good. I was really impressed by the way you handled it, and I think that I probably would have been more abusive than you were. But it was interesting because I was kind of thinking that, you know, I'm out all the time filming. Like I'd probably say 3/4 of the videos on my channel are outside. Oops. I think we've lost Dan. Guys, we've lost him. Right, let me have a look at the chat, see if he reconnects. His internet's probably just gone out. So who's in the chat? Let's give some shout outs here. Bev, What's all this about muffins? People keep telling me, oh, Flem's in the chat, Jenna Lee's in the chat. What's this about muffins? People keep saying hi, muffin and stuff, and it does my head in. Michael. Hi, everyone. How's it going? God, you've been trying. All right, I'm down to the bottom now. Grumpy Gramps, where y'all? Let's just wait for him to, let's just talk amongst ourselves while he has a go at reconnecting, maybe. Have you got any questions? Let's do an impromptu Q&A. Have you got any questions? Hi, Michelle. This is Luke. Thanks for this. You are welcome. Any questions? Anybody want to ask a question? Flem, are you still here? I caught the last 2 minutes of your live stream this afternoon. I mean, it was literally 2 minutes. And you said you were going, so I didn't say hello because I thought, well, it was like hello, goodbye. So you scared him off with all the talk of martial arts. I don't think so. I don't think so. I haven't trained for a long time. Long time. I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu, my first degree black, in December 2000. I think. And I trained a little bit after, started training towards second degree black, had a massive falling out with my club and left. And then I had a baby, so I couldn't train. And then I went back, but a different club, and I didn't really get into it again. So I haven't trained for a long, long, long time. So there you go. That's my martial arts story. So if anybody came at me now, I don't know how many moves I'd remember. Maybe a few. Maybe a few. Let's text him. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to text him. Michelle, you're looking awesome. How are you coping with this COVID thing? I'm coping really well. The lighting's really bad in here. I decided to come downstairs and set up downstairs because in my room where I normally do live streams, you know, with the leopard backdrop, the internet is absolutely dreadful. Here he is. He's back. He's back. He's back. Hey.
Oh my God, what happened? I've never had a problem with my internet in. Oh my God.
I was just saying that I've set up downstairs because I'm always having problems with my internet when I'm upstairs. But this so far has been going well. But that's
That's weird. I'm hardwired as well, so I just don't know whether it was just a blip from outside or anything. You know, it's just that was really, really strange.
Have you noticed though, since lockdown, the internet's more, certainly for me.
Yeah, because more people are using it.
Yeah, it's been dodgy. Yeah, definitely. But anyway, so where were we? Yeah, martial arts. So you kept me cool. You did spectacularly well, and I don't think I would have done as well. And I think that's why, as vegan activists and anybody who films outside needs to have their wits about them. And I think before you left, I was just saying that the majority of my videos are filmed outside. And, you know, most of them are pretty innocuous, you know, walking through a field, you know, holding up a tripod. Most people, when I'm out and about, most people are still in bed because I go out really early in the morning. Yeah. But when I'm at work, I film on trains, I film on buses, I film in the street, I film in supermarkets. And the only time I've ever been told to stop filming was when I went to Greg's, the bakery, in Bolton Town Centre, when the vegan sausage roll came out. And I was holding a tripod with a camera on, and the manager came chasing me out. I bought my sausage roll, and the camera wasn't on. and I was got camera in one hand, sausage roll in the other hand, and I was going to like just film outside the store, like taste testing this thing. And he came running out like, were you filming my staff? Were you filming? I was like, no, I wasn't filming your staff. Look, the camera's off. And he was absolutely fine. But that's the only time I've ever been questioned. And bear in mind, I walked through farmers' fields. I mean, literally over that back fence, you know, literally like within yards over that back fence, there's farmers' fields. And I've walked through farmland. I've filmed animals. I've filmed farm buildings. I mean, the one I did at Christmas time, I actually walked around the yard of a chicken farm.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was the middle of winter. It was, I think, Christmas Eve or something. Or maybe the day or two before Christmas Eve. And I could hear things going on. Like there was obviously people in the vicinity, but I walked around like one of the big sheds to see if I could see in anything. And I couldn't see anything. But I walked all the way around and not all of it made it to the video because it was pretty boring, to be frank. But anybody at that time could have come and asked me what I was doing. And if someone had come over at that time and asked me what I was doing, I'm in the wrong because I'm on private property. So as far as I understand the law, it states that if you are on private property, such as Greg's Bakery or a chicken farmyard, and you are asked to stop filming, then you have to stop filming because it's their property, right? So if you're walking about on private property, they have got the upper hand. So there's that. But if I'm stood outside the fence of the chicken farm, I can film inside the chicken farm. I can film anybody who comes to confront me. And they can't do a thing about it. I mean, it's perfectly legal.
There is some grey area.
There is a grey area, I agree.
There's a grey area. So first of all, right, for everybody out there, right, you can film anyone or a child, an adult, a pensioner, anybody you want, anything you want on public property, you can film legally. If it wasn't legal, then CCTV cameras would not be allowed to operate because the law does not distinguish between photography and film and for security and any other reason. Photography is photography, full stop, as far as the law is concerned. As far as filming on private areas such as shopping malls and inside Greg's, it's not illegal per se, but if they take offence to it, they can ask you to leave, because that's another thing with my urbexing going on private property with cameras. It's not illegal to go on people's property. I could walk if your back door was open. I could walk into your property and I would not be arrested. This is the grey area. However, the minute you say get out of my house and I do not, then I broke the law. That's aggravated trespass. But trespass isn't actually breaking the law. Neither is photography. So all this thing about you need my permission to film it. No, once you walk out of your front door onto a public street, you invite yourself to be recorded. Yeah. Otherwise, there would be no photographs. There would be no football matches being recorded. There would be no sporting events, no concerts. You won't be able to film at a concert. So yeah, it's common sense. So that's where the law. I mean, a little story for you. Because police are not aware of this law either. Always film the police, as far as I'm concerned, because you're gathering evidence as much as they are. And if you notice, the police now have CCTV cameras on the chest. They do, Unless they're doing something naughty, and they won't be wearing it. But there's not many of them about.
They'll say it's broken. They'll say it's broken.
It's broken. But what happened was a few years ago, there was a guy having an argument with his girlfriend, and he hijacked a car, drove it onto my street, and there's a big, massive, steep bank, and he drove it down in an attempt to drive it into a house. Right. So the police come, they tasered him. I was out with my big DSLR camera with a big lens. And I heard one copper shout to me, "If you don't fuck off, I'm going to take that camera and smash it over your head." So that was me then. I'm like, but my missus like that. She comes, she's only 4 foot nothing, my missus. "Get in, you're at it again. You're in the shop." Drags me into the house. Then fuck me, 10 minutes later, I've got a very sheepish CID man knocking on my door and saying, our photographer can't make it. Could we use your photographs that you took? And I'm like, can you just get that policeman who's just threatened to beat me up with my camera to take his pants down and walk like a toddler, please, first? But this shows how misinformed the police are as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
I always, there's a story on my page about some corrupt policemen I come across, and that was to do with photography again. And if I hadn't managed to snidely film just 7 seconds of them doing what they were doing to me, I would have been convicted for police assaults. But those 7 seconds of footage saved me in court.
Yeah.
With 2 corrupt, lying police officers. Yeah. So I would advise everybody, anything happens, even if people are being just verbally assaulting you, just flick your camera on subtly and film it, because it's great evidence.
Yeah.
And it helps you. Dash cams with these insurance jobs.
Yeah.
Photography is a brilliant aid to sort of times in your life when things can get a bit hairy. You point a camera at some stalker behind you, he's not going to carry on following you.
You're absolutely right.
You know, if you've got a woman walking home on her own, or even a man, if you turn around and go, right, you're live on Facebook, say hello to my friends.
Yeah.
They'll be off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a very good safety device.
I mean, people, as much as people complain about CCTV and, you know, the surveillance state, and I understand that, I really do understand that, because, you know, we're living in Britain, which apparently has got more CCTV cameras than anywhere else in Europe. I don't know whether that's true or not. But I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that in 2 cases where death was involved, two legal cases where death was involved, one involving a member of my family who was killed, and second, a member, I was a jury member. Very recently, I did jury service earlier on this year, and it was a murder case, and the council CCTV, like the official CCTV, caught the beginning of the assault, but moved. It was like it panned around. It was like a point zoom for a second, and then it panned to another street. It like swiveled around, and it swiveled just at the wrong time. But fortunately, there was a couple that lived in the house across the road from the pub. This assault, which ended up in a murder, happened outside of a pub. And the people from across the road had a home video camera, like a, you know, security camera. Yeah. And that footage, although it was very, very grainy, it was fantastic. And that was one of the pieces of evidence that sealed the deal. You know, we're not allowed to discuss what was said in the jury deliberation room, but I will say that the majority of us went into that room convinced a murder had taken place. But there were some small anomalies, and you have to, beyond all reasonable doubt, be sure, right? You know, the burden of proof is on the prosecution, so you have to be absolutely sure. And we were given, in the deliberation room, we were given the tape with all the CCTV on. And the people that needed a little bit more convincing, who'd perhaps not been able to make out the CCTV so clearly from this video camera, this home security camera, because it was very, very grainy. Mm-hmm. When you watched it close up, like, and you were able to watch it on a laptop rather than on the screen in the court, you could physically see the arms going in with the punches and the kicks going in. And it just corroborated the witness stories, where I think it was like 14 people had witnessed it, but from different angles, and they had slightly different recollections, slightly different stories. So it was quite easy for the defense to start to pull apart some of these stories, because they were a little bit conflicting. But, you know, memories like that, right? But this home security camera was perfect. However grainy it was, it sealed the deal. And it meant that 2 guys who committed murder, and you could see them going in, you know, they possibly, unlikely, but could have got away with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was, you know, it was just the strength of the evidence together. But just the fact that that was there was fantastic for us as jurors, just to be able to go home at the end of the day, you know, knowing that these two guys have got life imprisonment, but they've got life imprisonment justly. You know, there was no doubt in anybody's mind
and you know,
once we'd seen that.
And you know, this brings us nicely onto something I wanted to talk about, and it's the preemptive strike. And I sent you a bit of paper. I mean, I'm rubbish at reading. I'm a visual learner. I mean, YouTube has been my savior. But
yeah,
there is a law in the UK where you can preemptive strike if you think you're going to be attacked.
I can possibly get it on the screen. Maybe.
So I'll talk while you try and do that. And basically what it means is it's like if you get somebody in your house, oh my God, we're in the Matrix. And if somebody comes in your house, you can use reasonable force, but reasonable force doesn't mean kicking the living daylights out of them. It means you can use force, use a baseball bat or whatever until they stop doing what they're doing. That's it.
Yeah.
And this is why in the video that you saw with me with those guys is I'm telling them, do this again and I will hit you. I will knock you out.
That's right.
I'm warning, and I warned them 3 times. Do not try that again, or else I will punch you. Which I didn't do in the end, which I'm glad, because it would have been very, very messy. It would have against 8 other versions of the story.
I mean, it would have put you in danger, more danger, but also it would have muddied the waters in any legal case. Even though you were legally in the right, it can muddy the waters. Can you see my screen, everybody?
Yes,
in the chat? Right. So can you see the document that I've got on my screen or not? Why will it not move? Oh, well, not to worry, not to worry. I'll read it to you all. So this is and you can look this up. This is on the Crown Prosecution Service government website. And this is in relation to self-defense and the prevention of crime. And I've read this document because I teach forensic psychology and I've got an interest in the law. I've looked at this, but anyway, preemptive strikes. There is no rule of law to say that a person must wait to be struck first before they may defend themselves, and that's in case law. And also failure to retreat, which I think is important, that you are allowed to stand your ground, even if you could, you know, turn tail and run away. That's not necessary in law. Retreating is not necessary. If you are confronted, it's right under preemptive strike. So it says failure to retreat when attacked and when it is possible to safe to do so is not conclusive evidence that a person was not acting in self-defense. It is simply a factor to be taken into account rather than giving rise to duty to retreat when deciding whether the degree of force, blah, blah, blah. So the fact that you stood your ground is legally, you are still in the right. It doesn't matter whether you're swearing at them. It doesn't matter whether you're appearing on camera to be more abusive than them, which obviously you weren't, but that's how it might appear. I'm going to move that back to... Oh, I think I know what I did wrong with the sharing of...
You saw it. Everyone saw it. I saw some comments saying the same.
Oh, okay.
I saw it fine.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah. So the fact that you didn't retreat, you know, why if somebody says, well, you should have just called it a day and legged it and, you know, let's left them to the murder.
Why should I?
Well, exactly.
Why should I?
Exactly.
I mean, if you don't stand for anything, you fall for it. You fall for everything, don't you? You know what I mean? You can't keep giving in to bully boy tactics. I've never done that. I mean, if he pulled a knife out of a baseball bat, I would have been gone like Billy Whiz. I would have been far away. Believe me, I believe in self-preservation. But why should I?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. because you were on public footpath and they were clearly in the wrong. But there's a wider set of implications to this, that, you know, bringing it round back to veganism, you know, because it could have been anywhere, couldn't it? You know, you could have been filming outside a factory and somebody taken offence and come over and had exactly the same argument. You know,
yeah. I mean, you could be outside Blackpool Tower doing
anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly the same scenario, no different.
But the fact that you were outside a slaughterhouse and making it clear that this is a place of death, amidst beautiful fields, this is a place of death where horror is going on every hour of the day. You've highlighted that. And they've highlighted it. They've actually made it a story, which I think is something you actually said. You know, I mean, you've made a story by being awkward.
if they didn't want to bring attention to themselves, the best thing they could have done was stay out of sight. I would have walked. It would have been so boring for me. Nothing would have happened. Yeah. It would have been a non-story, you know. And I would have carried on talking to my Instagram friends and toddled off home. Nothing happened. Now they're the subject of like YouTube videos, Instagram videos. People have watched it on mine and yours. It's like you have just brought what you didn't want upon you.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly. But the thing is, right? It just demonstrates.
Sorry to interrupt. We haven't got a limit on the time on this, have we? Because I'm pretty sure there's a time limit on StreamYard, but I wouldn't.
No, I think it's. I'm on the free version. I think it's 20 hours, but like if I've not used it, I've not used it for several months, so I've got loads of time. It highlights, I mean, the thing that it highlighted to me, above and beyond the fact that you kept your cool and that was really great, but the thing about those guys was the caliber, and I'm not being rude when I'm saying this, but the caliber of people that are working for those places. They just wanted trouble. They were out to cause trouble. They'd seen a moment when, you know, they could confront someone. Imagine how that, it's not even anger, is it? But how that type of person, how they play out, how their personality plays out when they are behind closed doors with those animals that are screaming, that are not cooperating because they know that they're next in line. They know what's happening. They have absolutely no compassion because, quite frankly, it doesn't look like they've got the intelligence to have any compassion. This needs highlighting, not just for the fact that you were legally in the right, but these are the kind of people who are producing, they are processing your meat. These are the last faces that those animals see before they leave this world. And their world has been horrible from date of birth all the way to date of death. Their world has been horrible. And the last thing they see is one of those guys with a stun gun. I mean, Jesus Christ, this video needs to be shared. The faces, if anybody's good with photo editing, the faces of those guys, put them on a poster, because we're not doing anything wrong by doing that. These are the guys that are murdering. These are the guys. This is the last face that your meat sees. Now that's a great meme. That's somebody who's good at memes. Get that memed. Because yeah, this is the last face that your meat sees. It really is.
And it's funny, is it the job that's bred them into that attitude, or is it their attitude what has took them into that job? You know, it's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like,
yeah.
Is it that kind of work that draws them into that, or is it that what turned them into these monsters? You know?
Yeah. I had a meeting this afternoon. It was a work meeting, but my colleague is vegan, so we always had the last 5 minutes when we get together one-on-one. We always have the last 5 minutes talking about veganism. And I was saying that I was live streaming tonight, and she said she'd try and catch it and whatever. So if you hear Tara, you may be.
Tara.
She might catch it on the replay. but yeah, we had a quick chat about veganism. She'd been reading a couple of papers that had been published, like academic papers, about slaughterhouse workers. And I don't know what country this was from. I think she did say, but I can't remember. But the domestic violence, the relationship conflict that these guys have in their everyday relationships is way higher than the average. And she asked me, she said, what do you think about this finding? Do you think it's something to do with them as people? You know, do they find slaughterhouse work because they are somebody who enjoys blood, they enjoy guts, they want to feel like they are all powerful, and it's something sadistic in their personality? Is it that, or is it that they are so frustrated and so dissociated and desensitized that when they go home, they can't click that switch back to normal dad or normal husband, that they are themselves traumatized? And I likened it to what happens to soldiers who've been in battle, who've been in, you know, on the front line in war, and they struggle. You know, I've got students investigating post-traumatic stress in veterans of Iraq at the moment, just at this very moment. And it's a consistent story that comes through, that these guys have seen such horrendous things and have probably done horrendous things, you know, some of them at least, seen their comrades blown to pieces. And then they have to go back to civilian life and they don't know how to process. They can't process that information. So they're stuck in this psychological state that's almost like dissociation, certainly desensitization, and they can't fit back into civilian life. And I just made this observation, something just clicked with me, that just this afternoon, so it's really fortuitous that we're having this conversation, but the guys who are committing the acts of domestic violence and who can't be regular people outside of work, perhaps they're experiencing the same type of post-traumatic stress disorder that a soldier experiences when he comes home from war. Because it's not just a one-off battle, this is it. This is day on day on day. Hundreds of creatures, if not thousands, if they're working chickens, it can be thousands every single day.
Well, Tulip processed 3,500 pigs a day.
Jeez.
3,500. I mean, in the past, I have done some infiltration in areas, which I can't speak about at the moment, but I have infiltrated a production company that do certain things. And another dynamic of it as well, Michelle, is it's very highly paid for an unskilled person. And these people get trapped with the money, because you imagine these people the maximum they can earn is £6 an hour. When they're getting £10 an hour and they get all the overtime they want in these places, it's very hard to, if you feel like you're being robbed, if you quit that job and go back to your £6-7 an hour. So people get trapped in that, and a lot of people who go into these places are out of work chefs. I know that. Out of work chefs, because it's the only trade they know. Butchery, you know. So there's a lot of dynamics to it, but I did notice a lot of people in there with problems and being opened up, and you know, relationship problems. They hate what they did, you know, the whole thing. But that will come out when it comes out.
And something else my colleague said, it must have been like within one of the papers, that one of the guys that was interviewed for this study, he said he just broke down. There was one day when it was a particularly, I don't know, must have been a difficult animal that had to be, you know, really forced to its death. And he kind of hit that wall and he ran out of the place and just broke down outside. But the day after, because of the money, because he needed the money, and it was the job that he could get the most for his family, he went back the next day. So imagine, I'm a psychologist. As a psychologist, that psychological shift that you have to do in your head to go from broken to be able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go back into battle the next day, that takes gymnastics within the brain. That is dissociation. I can't think of a better way to describe it than you have to be someone else. You have to go in there as someone else. That's the only way I can perceive that to be possible when someone is that broken.
I mean, I really wish I could talk about it, but I can't because it's all in due process. But I wish I could talk about it, but I can't. But you've hit the nail on the head, though. You're exactly right with it. And these people, we're compassionate people, and what they must do is exactly what you say: is become a different character. And you've got to sort of they've got to dissociate themselves with what they're doing, but they must every now and again look into those animals' eyes and get a connection. It's impossible not to. They've got to do. You look into your dog's eyes and you see, I'm hungry, I'm scared, I'm happy, I'm sad. You see this. There's no denying it, and you can't help because our faces are expressive, and it's just no way of sort of getting away from that. So it's it does. Really...
And it's innate, isn't it? That being able to recognize facial expressions, like a newborn baby fixates on eyes, whether it's a human eye or a dog's eye, they fixate on eyes. It's something inbuilt in the brain. And you're absolutely right that, something in the eyes, when I see, the pictures of particularly ones from vigils where activists have taken pictures inside a truck and you just get the shot of an eye, and that breaks me. Like the blood and the guts, to be honest, doesn't faze me. It's the eyes, it's the fact of what the eye is saying when they're alive. That breaks me.
It's got to be experienced firsthand. I mean, any vegans out there, you must do a vigil. If you're active and you want to convince people to become vegan, you must go to a vigil because it will give you so much fire, and it will change your heart, and it will make you more productive, and you can speak from the heart. People pick up on people speaking from experience. It's not just saying, I saw something on TV the other day and this pig was getting punched. When you can say, I've looked into the eyes of these animals a few hours before they're going to be gassed and then stabbed to death and then shot into pieces. When you've looked in the eyes of these animals, it gives you a whole sort of new sort of perspective on it. And it's more genuine, and people can read that in your face when you talk.
Yeah. I mean, something that I will never forget. And I'm going back to when I was about 7 years old. And because I live in a rural area, my granddad used to take me for walks, and he knew some of the farmers. So he used to take me for walks, and he'd chat over the farm gate to certain farmers. And there was this particular day when, the farmer obviously wasn't that busy. And my granddad went in for a brew, went into the farm kitchen for a brew. And I was playing in the yard with the dogs. They bred collies. And I was playing in the yard with these young collies. And I noticed the sheep in the field. It was a sheep farm. And there was a ram in a pen. And I was climbing, I didn't know, I was climbing over the fence to get into the into the pen with the ram because I wanted to stroke the ram. And a farm worker grabbed me and said, don't go in there. And he put me down on the floor, like picked me up with the back of my jumper, put me on the floor and said, don't go in there, you'll get attacked, and don't go in the barn. And then he walked away. So, right, when you're 7, I've maybe even been younger than 7. When you're 7 and someone says, don't do something.
When you're 52 and someone says, do not press the red button, do not go in there. I am in there. It doesn't matter what age you are.
And I had no intention of going in the barn until this guy said, don't go in the barn. What did I do? Went in the barn, and oh my God, there was a pile. And seriously, it was a pile, and bear in mind I'm only 7, but it was a pile way higher than me of dead lambs. It was, I don't know what must have happened to them. They were just piled high, these dead lambs. And that, I think, was maybe one of the nails that needed to kind of fit into place for me to find animal activism, because I always loved animals. And I recognized very, very young in life that the meat I was eating was a dead body. I recognized that. And it was lamb that did it. That because lamb is called lamb, like a lamb chop, you know, some meats, it's dressed up, isn't it? It's a sausage or it's beef. It's not called the animal.
Burger,
but lamb's, yeah, burger, yeah. It's different. But lamb, and I like had this, like, obviously I was 7 and I'm thinking back and what did I think? And it was just sheer horror. Like, you know, the film, The Silence of the Lambs. Well, that was The Silence of the Lambs. It was horrible. And you could see like some of the faces, and I just stood in the doorway and looked at this pile of dead lambs, and I never told anyone. Like, my granddad came out to see where I was, and, you know, we went home and we went and had tea, and I never told anyone what was in that barn because I'd been told not to go in that barn.
Yeah.
So that image sat with me for so long before I could even process it. It sat with me for so long. And to this day, I don't know what there must have been at least 30 dead lambs, because it was a pile of them.
I wonder if it was a disease or something.
It must have been disease, because it wasn't a farm where the animals were killed on site. There was no, like, you know, it wasn't a butchering processing plant at all. It was a rural farm, a small holding, really. You know, they had a couple of fields of sheep, a ram. They bred dogs.
Weird, really weird.
It was really weird. It must have been pretty much every lamb that was produced that year, or in that lambing period. They must have died of disease, but it was horrible. So when you say that vegans should experience, you know, at some point in that process, I'm kind of very close to the farming process, because I've lived in, you know, rural, like near farms. There's several farms just in this village, and I've seen farming all of my life. I've never been involved in farming, but I've seen farming.
Yeah.
That gives me a closeness to the land and to the animals. But I think vegans who are vegan ethically, but maybe live in cities and have never experienced farm animals, I think they really do need to go to vigils, basically anything that brings them in contact with those actual animals.
And with the whole process.
Because it absolutely brings it home that we're not just talking about ethics or philosophy or psychology. We are talking about the lives of sentient creatures who are as intelligent, and in some cases more intelligent, than the dogs that are wandering about in my room clicking their paws on the floor. So if you're hearing clicking, it's my dog.
I thought somebody was typing in the background.
No. It's Poppy. She's very old and she doesn't like go out a lot, and her nails are getting quite long because she's not been able to go to the groomer because of lockdown. So her nails are getting quite long, and she's click. I
wonder what it was. Is there any questions then? Is there anybody who wants to ask either of us a question? Or because I did tell people on my channel that if they've got any questions or any observations, to give us a shout over.
Okay, so I've got one here. October Rain Rocks. I've been to 2 bearing witness vigils, but 2 was too many and I can't cope with it. I get you. I'm listening. Because I see the animals regularly. I see the sheep out in the fields. I could go out now and walk for 5 minutes and be in a field full of sheep. Less than 5 minutes. So I see those animals when they're happy and they're living their best life. Yeah. And to see those sheep in their last moments of life,
do you know something?
I can't do that.
We've got cows up on the hills, and we've sat here before I was vegan. We sat here, and I've heard moo, and I think, oh, listen to the cows mooing.
Yeah.
Dead happy, and now I know why.
Yeah.
Because it was doing it all night, and I thought, why is it doing it all night? Is it in pain? What's going on? And now I know why they're mooing, because they've had the child taken away. The child
taken away, yeah.
And it changes the whole dynamic of it now. It's like, oh my God, not another one, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, when you're disconnected from nature, you don't get these little reminders of how real things are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, round here, it's sheep and chickens, but there is a dairy farm. It's the other side of the village, but it's only a small operation. There's actually 2 dairy farms, one at either side of the village. But you don't see the cows a lot. Like you occasionally see them, like if it's summer in the fields, but usually they're barn raised. You know, they're let out for a special treat, I think, and they're barn raised. So we don't see a lot of cows, but the sheep, and then the chicken farm that's been here all like at least 40 years now, causes fly problems. The thing that people don't like about the chicken farm in this village is the flies that it attracts. And people who live, it's the other side of the village to me, but there was one year that was particularly hot and there was literally flies all over the village, and it was traced, the local council traced it back to the chicken farm. So everyone was up in arms about the disgusting nature of this chicken farm, not because of the thousands of chickens that were being tortured inside, because they were being inconvenienced by the flies. I mean,
you can just imagine them with the chicken leg in their hand, chewing away on it, going, "Them bloody flies, that chicken farm, what the hell are they doing?" That was chicken leg, and it's like
that was exactly what my mum and dad were like. Like, flies again. What are the flies doing in here with flies everywhere? And no connection whatsoever. Right. So yeah, I'd strongly recommend anybody who is into ethical veganism is to find some way to connect with the actual animals, go and see animals, go and witness the farming process. And if you can stand it, go and do some kind of vigil or, you know, the bearing witness. And yeah.
I mean, the vigils, you can bring yourself in gradually. There's no pressure to do anything. You can stand on the sidelines, watch the wagons come in. There's no pressure to go and load. Nobody pressures you to do anything. You can do everything in your own time. You can stay as long as you want, disappear when you want. There's no pressure. Nobody judges you. Just come and just watch and see what you think. That's what you have to do. There's plenty going on.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'll just mention while we're talking about bearing witness is last summer I went down to Cornwall for a few days. And it was Newquay. It's got a harbour, and it's still got a working harbour. And this guy pulled up with this truck full of crates, right? And he was unloading these crates, and all around him there was like boats coming in and out. There was kids playing along the harbour. There was all people like milling around. There was an ice cream van. And he's unloading these crates, and I'm just kind of sat watching, filming. I filmed the entire thing, all the crates being loaded off. I put it on YouTube somewhere. And when he'd gone, he drove away. He hosed down the deck, right? He hosed it down and then drove off. And it was boxes and boxes and boxes of dead fish, right? So they must have been like delivered to be picked up by someone. I've no idea. But just boxes and boxes and boxes of dead fish, and nobody batted an eyelid. And I looked through the crates, and there were dead seagulls in there as well. Like there was a wing hanging out of one of the crates, like literally an entire wing hanging out of one of the crates. There was a beak that you could see, just because there was quite big holes in these crates. You could clearly see what was inside, and everybody's just walking around as if absolutely nothing's happening. And we are so disinterested in where our food comes from. We are so disconnected from where our food comes from. And you know, I was literally probably the only person in Newquay you know, that looked at those fish and those gulls and thought, how many souls are in those boxes? Because we don't think about the fish.
And what astounds me about the fish is once you bring in fish and crustaceans, and the accidental catches of dolphins and whales and other bycatches, you're talking 1.2 trillion a year.
Yeah, it's colossal.
The 75 billion land animals, then it brings it right. And it's like, I mean, people don't see fish as sentient, but it's been proven otherwise.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They even have behaviors. They use colors to communicate.
Yeah.
They use movements to communicate. There's research that says when a fish has been caught by hook, they don't go back to that spot in the water. This is on rivers too.
Yeah.
They don't go back to that spot again because they remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, this bullshit about the goldfish having a 3-second memory is just not correct.
It's not true. It's not true. They can see color. I had a goldfish when I was a kid, and I trained him to come to a red block. So I had a red block and a different colored block.
Really?
And and I held the blocks up, and I'd put the block where I put his food. So he started to associate the red block, and he used to come and like nose the block. Like if you put the block right at the top of the water, he'd nose the block because he knew that was his food. But any other block, he'd no interest in it.
I'm smiling because I'm just thinking to myself. I'm just thinking to myself, back in the 70s, right, and like when I was young, there was no internet, there was no PlayStations. And,
that's it. That's what we use ourselves.
This is why you spend so much time training your goldfish.
It didn't take long, though. It didn't take long.
Britain's Got Talent. Michelle Lowe with her amazing goldfish. Watch this: red block, green block.
Well, you know, I was a psychologist back then. What can I say?
Yeah, you were great.
But anyway, but it was absolutely true. He saw colour. He knew the red block. He definitely knew the red block.
It proves the point.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm saying here, I don't know what his actual gender was, but his name was Moby. So
yeah,
we always thought of him as a he. So
if he went for the red block, more, he'd probably a boy. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, so tell us. Let's kind of start like wrapping up, and we can obviously spend some time for questions if you want. What are your future plans? What do you intend to do?
Right. Well, one thing I want to do is AV.
Yeah.
I think I can really make an influence on AV, so I really want to do that. My job at the moment, working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, £20 an hour. Not really, but I just told them that. It's them are the times when most of the AVs happen. But hopefully, I'm getting a new job where I'm going to work normal hours, Monday to Thursday. So I will have time to do AV. More vigils, go to vigils, do more content for Grumpy. I just want to do more. There's stuff I can't talk about that I'm doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I want to do more of that as well because I'm using my talents as an actor and having this sort of, I can't get fazed by many things, by other people anyway can't faze me. So there's other things that I want to sort of do, but I really want to influence people to come to the light side. I mean, my parents now, my dad's 83.
Right.
He's lost his bladder to cancer about 15 years ago. He's got 2 tubes in his kidneys at the moment. He's now nearly vegan. I get him the Applewood cheese. He has vegan milks. My mum was anti-vegan as hell, and she had a mini stroke. She lost her memory for a while, and they told her she had a mini stroke. Now all of a sudden she's warming to this vegan idea.
Yeah.
So I want people to. On the health side of it, I know vegan is not about health, but it's a nice little sideline.
It's a side hustle. It's a side hustle.
It's a really good one. But I want people to. I've had a friend who I was an extra in a film with, and he was one of the best talkers. He talked constantly. He's had a stroke and he can't get his words out. He can comprehend, but when he speaks, it doesn't come out right, and he's frustrated. He had a stroke. And I don't want people to get to that stage where they get ill before they make the change. And that's the goal in life with people round about my age, is to say, look, come over to this and before this happens, because you're now at that age where everything you've done previous diet-wise is now going to manifest itself.
Yeah.
Now, this is where you know what I mean? This
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, all the milk drinkers out there, your moobs, right? Moobs aren't a natural state, right? Moves means you've been slowly feminized by ingesting estrogen all your life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah,
you've got women's boobies, lads. That's what you've got. You know?
Yeah, and they blame the soy. They blame soy products.
Soy, no,
it's not. It's the dairy. It's the dairy.
Phytoestrogens actually increase your testosterone, so that's an absolute bullshit.
It is nonsense. It is utter nonsense. Absolutely. I mean, I did for anybody watching this who's not seen it yet, because I haven't seen it yet either. I did an interview with Joey Carbstrong last week, and apparently my YouTube notifications are just not working, but somebody's told me that it's now live on Joey's channel. So I did an interview with Joey. And the reason why me and Joey started communicating was because he was interested in the psychology of veganism. So I've appeared on Joey's channel twice now, and we've had kind of chats outside, offline. And when I kind of started being active in the vegan movement, I came to a realization that what vegans have to do is play to their strengths, and it's complete common sense, right? And the fact that you're an actor is your strength. The fact that you can hold a character that other people can't do is your strength. Psychology and understanding the theory of why people are doing what they're doing is my strength. And I think anybody watching this in the chat now or watching it on the replay, think about what your strengths are and play to that, because there is so much that needs to be done in the vegan movement. And the only way we can achieve what we need to achieve is by everybody doing what they do best, you know, striking from lots of different angles. I mean,
I've got a friend on YouTube, the UK Vegan Family, look them up. And Daniela has shown me some pictures of her transformation. And it's amazing. However, she's still got a bit of body dysmorphia about her own appearance, but she does a lot of recipes, cooking recipes, which is sort of away from the sort of animal rights, but it does give clear sort of instruction on how to cook really good vegan food, and that is Danielle's strength. You know, so she uses that. Whether it's people might say, oh, it's not animal rights or whatever, it doesn't matter, because one of the biggest blocks to people from going to a vegan or plant-based lifestyle is the convenience factor.
That's right.
And that's what stops people. And it's I can't be asked is what we say up here. I can't be asked. It's too much effort. But this is why I applaud KFC, McDonald's, all the other fast food joints, Burger King, for bringing the vegan options.
That's right.
And some vegans are saying, oh, well, I'm not going to eat there. Well, you don't go and fucking eat there.
Don't eat there then.
People who want to, it's convenient, and then they will try it and say, well, the more products there are. 5 years ago, when I went vegan, I became a very good cook because there was nothing out there. There was no fast food. I'm a trucker. I need stuff I can make and take with me, mobile stuff. I have use of a microwave. There was no microwave meals. Now, I've just been shopping today. I bought little packets of curry, little packets of rice. There's microwave meals. There's breakfast burritos. There's a full fridge in Iceland.
There is. So there's all sorts.
There's no excuse.
There is absolutely no excuse. There really isn't. And I think it's becoming easier now to point people in the direction of all of that convenience food. But there's still all of those barriers. And it's about, show people that this is so easy, it's nutritious, or it's as junk foody as you like it to be. I mean, I like those vegan guys. They're from the Manchester area. Yeah, friends of mine. Yeah, they do some fantastic videos because they are so down to earth. So they're not like, with their head in the clouds, wanting people to go to some retreat and do meditation for a week. They're in the kitchen telling you how to make proper vegan food.
I
And
hate
it's as simple as
Michelle,
that.
I hate those vegan guys because they go to the supermarkets, they find all this good shit, right? And when I go to the supermarket, I can't find it anywhere. And I'm like, I usually like text Paul, where's this stuff? Where's this stuff? It's like, stop pestering me. I'm watching a film or something. It's like, oh, I can't find it. Damn.
Yeah, I did a live with Paul last week, and when lockdown's finished, we've got a plan. We've got a plan for a face-to-face collab. I'm not going to tell you; it's just the beginnings of a plan that we've got. So when lockdown's over, that's gonna materialize.
Okay.
That'll be good. So guys, chat. Have you got any questions for us? I need glasses. I can't read this small type.
If you do double click the questions, they come up on the screen. I don't know whether you know that.
Do they? Yeah, but I have to find them first.
But I've got some Naked Glory chipolata sausages waiting for me to be cooked pretty soon, and I can't wait to try them. They're like little hot dogs, so
all right, yeah.
I'm gonna have a rake of those when
I'm not a fan of fake meats, I've got to tell you. A little bit of the vegan mince, I can cope with that as long as it's only a minority of a dish. It's too meaty. It's too meaty for me. I don't like
that's what I miss. So
yeah. But the fact I'm not keen on it. I just leave it to everybody who loves it. But the fact that it's there is absolutely flaming amazing. I'll stick to my beans and my chickpeas and my mushy peas. And my Uncle Ben's right. Mushy peas.
All these others are like, what?
They do. I did a what I eat in a day once. It's a while ago, and I had mushy peas on my plate. And someone in the comments said, "What is that? What is mushy peas?" It's like peas in a tin. Peas in a tin that are mushy.
Mushy peas, self-explanatory.
Oh God. Anyway, Grumpy Vegan Grandad, good job on the video footage. Grumpy Vegan Grandad, how do you cope with having what? How do you cope with having a car? Its partner. Bev, don't know what you mean.
Is she drunk?
Oh, carnist.
Oh right, I think she's referring to my family.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the only vegan in the house. So
yeah,
I just cook my stuff. They cook their stuff. I use my pans. They use their pans. I ask them if they want to try stuff. They don't want to try it. But funnily enough, all the fucking bourbons soon go for some reason or another. When the other I know it's strange.
I'm the same. I live with my son, and he isn't vegan. He eats vegan food. Yeah, bourbon creams disappear very, very quickly. The Pringles that are the vegan one disappear very, very quickly. But he does bring in animal products into the house, and he's got some eggs in the fridge at the moment, and I make it very clear. But that's all you can do, isn't it? The only way we live in a non-vegan world. I think this is a really good point to end on, that we live in a non-vegan world, and there are probably many, many more people out there who are vegan or who are planning to go vegan, who have got families like ours that are opposed to the idea, and they absolutely will not go vegan. They might try some of the products and like them or not, but they're not going to go vegan. And I think we've either got to go and live in a commune somewhere, which is not something I'm prepared to do, or it's just get on with it. Do what you can do the best you can do. Nobody's perfect, and we move on like that.
I mean, I must admit, over the last 12 months, I have been initiating different tactics. I will no longer buy anything while I'm out. I'll go and queue at Asda like I did today for an hour because of social distancing. But when my wife...
Hello? I think he's frozen. Hello? I'll try and disconnect him and then add him again. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Right, we'll give it a minute, see if he comes back for the last like 5 minutes, but I am going to wrap this up in 5. What are you all talking about? Oh, I think he's gone. He might come back. My opinion, I'm sticking to it. Are you having an argument? Have I kind of walked in on an argument here? It's my opinion and I'm sticking with it. Stick with it then. Ancestors, Chris, ancestors already had a digestive. I'm halfway through a conversation here. I'm not going to scroll all the way up to have a look what you were chatting about. But ask me a question. Ask me a question. I'm going to go in a minute. If he doesn't reconnect, I'm going to go in a minute. But it's been really good. I've really enjoyed this. It's been proper good. Proper good. Have you enjoyed this stream? I don't stream very often, and I really should do. I should do this more often. I should definitely do this more often. Oh, this was brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Good to know. Yes, I should. I definitely should. I want to do a live stream about sheep farming because I've been watching this channel. Can't remember the name of the channel, but she's a sheep farmer in Canada. I've shown a little bit of footage in my YouTube videos, but I want to do a stream about it and actually get people to. Here he's back. I think he's back.
I'm on my phone. Oh,
hello.
Oh, there I am. Hello.
Yay. I was just saying.
God, what's going on?
Yeah, I was just saying that we're going to wrap it up in a minute, but that I'm going to do more live streams, and I want to do a live stream about sheep farming. There's a channel that I've been watching. I've got a little bit addicted to it because it's horrible. There's this sheep farmer. She's in Canada, and she loves these lambs. She genuinely has so much affection for the lambs.
I saw, yes.
Yeah, yes. And yet she just, in the next scene of the video, she's taking some of the lambs that have reached a certain weight to market. You know, she's going dropping them off at a slaughterhouse. Yeah, she's got so much affection for the little baby lambs. I just find it so difficult to get my head around. I really do, and I want to do a stream about it. I want to talk about it. I feel I have to talk about it. So I think my next stream, guys, if you're up for it, I think that's what I'm going to do. So look out for a notification on that. But shall we call it a night? Because I'm getting darker and darker. It's not dark outside at all, but I'm going darker and darker. But
yeah, you're slowly disappearing into the background.
Yeah. But Dan, thank you so much for coming on, and keep up the fantastic work. I think what you're doing is amazing, and carry on doing it.
And thank you for allowing me to sort of explain myself, because to be honest with you, the negative comments have got to me a bit, because ever since Wednesday, since all this happened, it has resonated with me. Sort of, did I do the right thing? Should I have just walked away? Should I put me, sort of the retrospect, it really has sort of, because I don't want to be that person that is a trouble causer. And I did, and it really has confused me, but I'm starting to come to terms with I was in the right. And the support of all you out there, right, has been amazing. And you've helped me no end to sort of get this straight in my head. So yeah, thank you for giving me an opportunity to explain myself.
You're very welcome. And I think, just the last comment there, when you say you don't want to be that person, but somebody has to be that person. Somebody has to highlight what is going on, and we can be those people. And in all our ways, different ways, we could be those people. And some point in the future, hopefully, veganism will be more of a norm than it is right now. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks again, Dan. And I'll speak to you all really soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.